Tits, 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 tits.
Titty tit 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 tit.
Tits of the house.
Tits of the house. Did you read The Goldfinch, Hillary?
I started it,
Same,
and then I
okay.
saw they were making a movie, and I was like, well, what's the point now?
Okay, great. I just
What
saw it
is
up there
the
and I was
point?
like, look.
Was it bad?
It was so fucking long. That's like a 700-page book where nothing happens.
I gave up.
Oh.
And then people said the movie wasn't even good. And I was like, I missed my opportunity to be one of those people who was like, the book was better. I could just say it. I could lie. Yeah, I read The Goldfinch.
You did. Sorry, are we starting? I'm so sorry. Okay, great.
Welcome to Tits of the House. Today we have a very nosy guest who's going through the books on my shelf. She has beautiful tits. She has smart tits. She has culty tits.
Ooh.
Welcome, Meagan Elizabeth.
Thank you.
To the podcast.
I'm so excited to be here.
So, Meagan, you grew up in a cult.
I did.
What was that like?
It was so cool. I got to dress like an American Girl doll. I got to have really long hair. My hair was so long, sometimes I'd sit on it and be like, well, you know what I mean? Like snap my head back.
I'm jealous.
Yeah.
That is Betsy's dream.
Yeah, well, my hair's so long that I sit down. But why was your hair long?
Because there's a verse in the Bible that says women should have hair to cover their heads. So that was like, you need it in a bun. And some people, like the Mennonites, they take it as like you need to wear a little bonnet. So there was no bonnets. And growing up in a cult, a lot of cults are cool because they let you isolate from the world, which I would actually appreciate. Our cult in particular followed a verse in the Bible that said you must be in the world, not of the world. So the point was to go into the normal secular world, but look so weird that people said, there's something different about you. What is it? And then you would go, Jesus.
Wow.
Yes.
That's like a terrible pickup line.
Yeah.
There's something so different about you. What is it?
You look like you've been groomed.
Yeah, you look a little susceptible. Yeah, so I was sent to...
Dating Jesus.
I'm dating Jesus. And I was sent to like a very expensive... how do I word? Yes, I was sent to a very expensive private school with like some of the wealthiest families in the world, dressed like a prairie girl.
How did the wealthy children
Receive me?
receive the
Not
hair?
well, bitch. Not well.
Did you try to get them on your side, or how quickly did you realize I need to change?
Yeah, so I used to, there was a few things that were really triggering for me. Earrings and Christmas, because we weren't allowed to have either of them. This particular Christianity breed just took everything fun about Christianity and was like, no Christmas, no Easter, no jewelry, nothing.
So Jesus with no Christmas?
Yeah, because Christmas is rude to Jesus.
Oh my God.
Because he didn't get any presents?
He didn't get any presents. And you shouldn't celebrate Jesus once a year. You should be celebrating him every day.
With presents every day?
No.
With Santa
Jesus
every
doesn't
day.
like presents.
Who doesn't like presents?
Jesus. What is he like? Tell me about this guy.
What does he want? Not even a nice bottle of wine?
Well, no, he does. No.
I guess he could make it himself.
He can make it himself. He doesn't like.
Jesus is hard to shop for.
Yeah.
Now that I think about
Jesus likes your sadness.
it. Okay.
Okay.
And because of his sacrifice.
So this cult was a Christian. Is that what you're saying? It's
Yeah.
a Christian religion. It's a cult.
Yeah.
You cannot cut your hair.
Nope.
You have to have your hair grow forever.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
But let's just, because this is interesting. Are all religions a little cultish in
Of
a way?
course.
I mean,
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you have to pray all day, do the things to the core.
You have to believe an invisible thing that you have no scientific proof about.
Yeah. But like, what about David Koresh? Like, you know, like look at that cult where all these women were like, we're gonna like.
Which cult was that?
Waco.
David Koresh,
The Waco one.
Yes,
Okay.
he like all these women were like, well, he's hot. He probably not like he was good looking.
No, David, he was very cute.
It helps to be hot.
It helps
well,
to be hot,
in all
absolutely.
areas of life.
Yeah. I mean, it's no different for sure. The person who started our cult in 1897, fine as fuck.
Really?
Oh, so hot.
Was he sleeping with women in the cult?
The word on the street is yeah. But he created a celibate ministry, you know. He basically had a complete mental breakdown on New Year's Eve, which, let's face it, who hasn't? He was like,
been there.
Yeah, he was out and he like went to a show and he was just like, this fucking sucks. Like, the world sucks. I hate everything. I think he was in Scotland. Yeah, he was in Scotland because he's Scottish. And then he went home and was like searching his Bible, as everyone who's had a bad New Year's Eve is apt to do.
And did not have Instagram back then.
Yeah, in 1897, and came across a verse where it was like, God said, Jesus said, I send my disciples out 2 by 2. And he was like, that's it. 2 by 2. I send them out 2 by 2. And then he unfolded this religion that he eventually got kicked out of and then erased from the history of. But that's how it began.
It's so crazy because it's like you think, no, you couldn't get wrapped up in a cult, but everyone somewhere is looking for something. Do you know? I can see how easy this is. Did you see Dancing with the Devil?
Oh, yeah.
It's like,
Everyone wants to belong to something. Everyone's looking for connection.
but Hillary, look how hard it is, your life as a comic. Like, you have to write.
Look at how horrible you're doing, Hillary. Wouldn't you like to be?
I'm just saying, like, you can see on Dancing with the Devil,
Yeah.
life is hard. Okay, so what would a cult give you? Motivation, help, like inspiration. Yeah, things, and it keeps you going. And
Yeah.
I can see how people get caught up into it.
It's not something for dumb people. It's not something for weak people. It's something that people who want more out of life are more apt to join. So somebody who is like, there has to be more than life to this, or I want to help more than just live this way. And then you're also susceptible if you're going through a divorce or a death, or your pet died. Anything that kind of disrupts your normal life also makes you susceptible. But people who care are the ones who most likely end up in these situations, which sucks.
I care, but like
not enough.
Like, I just, no.
Yeah.
I, like, you know what I mean? It's just, it's hard. I care a lot.
Yeah.
And I want to help a lot. But the second somebody's like, Jesus is coming and knocking at your door, lady, I'm like,
But that's not how they do it. That's not how they sell a cult.
No.
Yeah.
They say, come to this party.
Well,
Or-
that's, yeah.
I went to Scientology.
I was going to say Scientology.
You know, 15 years after, no, it was like 10 years. They found my new phone number and called me. I was like, who is this? Wrong number. They were stalking.
Oh, yeah.
Am I going to get killed for talking about this?
No,
on the
no,
pod?
they have
No,
like
they're done.
20 members
They're
left.
done.
Are you sure? Because
Yeah.
I'm really scared. I was terrified.
Danny Masterson's in jail. We're
Danny
all
Masterson's
dead.
in jail. We're safe. La Poubelle, go away. Have you guys seen the? You know what? Never mind about that. No, it's too.
We don't
off
wanna
the
go down
It's
that
not
dark.
the La Poubelle podcast. But Scientology is like, hey, come to our motivational speech about how to be a better actor.
Yeah. That's what I did.
It's not like, hey, did you know a Thetan's in your body and you're going to live 1 billion years? You don't learn that until you've invested $300,000.
They know what they're doing.
Listen,
They all know what they're doing.
I went and it was like, come, this casting director's here, and I'm not going to say her name, but this huge actress is here.
Sure.
They want to talk to you about the industry, and it was like, do you want to figure out the way to get, and you just moved to LA, and you're like, oh, great, I can understand what I'm doing towards acting.
Sure.
So I go, then they're like, this class is $50, come sit in this room and watch this movie, and the guy's like, and if you walk out of this room, you're making like a big mistake. And I'm like, this movie's weird. And I'm like, I'm not sure. I was like, I don't know if I can. I'm not really, because I'm not like, I grew up Catholic, but I don't
Right.
really believe in religion like that. I think it's like,
Yeah, but it may be if someone, let's say your closest friend had just died, maybe there'd be a crack in your psyche that was like, oh, maybe this will help. Just saying.
Maybe. My brother died and I still wasn't like,
No.
oh my God, this is going to save me.
I mean,
Like, no,
yeah, it's a
no.
pretty weird religion.
It's
You
just-
gotta be in the right space.
You know what? I don't want anything pushed on me. And
Of
that's the
course.
hard part. But I think that I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm saying it's easy. I'm saying, listen, I can see how Scientology got people. You move here, you're here for your dream.
There's a community.
It's a community, but they also give you the tools and the steps towards your dreams.
Well, they're dangling Tom Cruise. You could be Tom Cruise.
Or John Travolta.
Or Leah Remini. Or Danny Masterson.
I mean, they Scientology got a formula, and they're 1 + 1 = 2.
I feel
Yeah.
like in watching all of these cult documentaries, which I can't get enough of, there comes to this point where it all makes sense and they're having fun.
Yep.
And then two things happen. One, the theology unravels and you're like, oh, they believe some weird shit that makes absolutely no sense. And two, someone's fucking everyone.
Yeah.
Always. Yeah.
Yeah.
Always.
Or if not everyone, some of them.
Mostly everyone, yeah.
Well, let me just put it this way. You know, I look at the devil, what's the dance one?
Dancing with the Devil.
Dancing with the
Dancing with
devil.
the
And I'm
Devil.
like, let's see. Will you edit this podcast for Will you help us? Okay.
We will
somehow,
join your cult
like,
if you will do the tech on this podcast.
No, I mean, he had a great mind for social media.
that is the thing. He had those ideas. Let's
Yeah.
dress up. Let's change this like idea of a dancer. Let's play old music. And it blew up. Yes.
Picking the number one song from every year to have people
Was
dance
that
to.
his idea?
Yes.
Or I thought he used the people in the cult to work for free. And
He
they
did,
the
but he
ideas.
had a little master plan that was good.
He was smart. He said, my son is a videographer editor.
Yeah.
Let's make this happen. I have this idea, and his idea blew these people out of the
Narcissists
water.
and sociopaths often have very good ideas because they're not
Is that
bogged
what
down
he
by
is?
fear. Yeah.
Or is he just abusing power?
He's a complete crazy person.
What is when you say sociopath? Because like narcissist, sociopath, what does that mean? Because I need to know.
We were talking about this the other day.
Yeah, I'm watching this show, like The Signs of a Sociopath.
What's that on?
It's like HBO Max, Hulu. There's one on
What did they say it was?
It's weird. They just show the sociopaths on the show.
Oh.
And they're like this. Some of them are like, yeah, I just went ahead and I murdered my mom. And I thought, well, maybe I could murder my sister. But then it would take the scavenger hunt I really wanted to do. And then I was like, I'm going to go to my neighbors and call the cops because I know I'm going to get busted. So and then my neighbors, while I was on with the police, telling the police that I murdered my mom, they were asking questions and I wanted to answer so they understood because they were hearing what I was
right.
saying.
So no empathy, right? Just none.
But it was like so like he was proud of himself.
Yeah.
And then the other ones were trying to get out of it. And it was like, oh shit, I didn't think this through and I'm giving stupid answers. And he goes, this is the first time I've ever cried in my life. And it was like he was crying
For himself.
because he was
Always.
going to jail.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like, but do all sociopaths kill, you know?
No. I mean, they
Just
kill
the ones that are good at it.
they kill everyone's spirit. Let's just go ahead and call. What was the name of that guy? What was the name of the guy from that cult? 7.
Which one?
The dance cult. Dancing with the Devil. Robert.
Oh, okay.
Let's just call him a narcissist. All he cares about is power and his power over people and getting money from that power. He's not going to empathize with their actual authentic selves to throw out some jargon. And he's just going to use them until he soaks every last drop of their talent, energy, and
he
profit.
used religion to do this.
Yes.
Why is that so successful when people do that?
Because him specifically is very hell-based, which is how I grew up as well. And if you hold something as scary as hell over people's heads and somehow get it in their brain that it's real, like it's over for you. You know.
People are so scared of dying and people are so scared of the devil.
Yeah.
I know, really.
I know.
It's such a crazy thing. I want to be like, stop worrying about the devil.
Yeah.
Like,
I know. And it's really hard to do if you weren't raised with it, because I kind of like call it akin to people raised with the devil are kind of being raised in like a Game of Thrones in their mind.
Yeah.
Where people just don't understand it. So my boyfriends, you know, and I'd be like getting out of this would be like, the devil's not real. It's fine. And I'm like, do you understand that I literally believed this? Like, literally, just like you believed in Santa, which I wasn't allowed to believe in. And I love telling kids that it wasn't real.
I wish you would have told me. I believed in him until I was like 13.
Oh my God, I would have loved to get my hands on you. Not real. If I can't enjoy Santa, nobody can.
You're like, you know what is real? The devil.
Yeah, seriously. And I was like, yeah, just like, ugh. But yeah, the hell shit is very complicated if you were raised with it.
I was raised with
Yeah,
it. We
yeah.
used to sing in church the song, and if the devil doesn't like it, he can sit on a tack. Ouch!
Well, that's kind of like a fun devil. Ours were more like, and you will burn forevermore by yourself. And I was like, oh my God.
So
Please don't burn me.
I know. So scary.
I was not raised with this type of religion.
Obviously, ho.
What were you raised with? Chardonnay?
I was raised to worship Chardonnay, money, Bentleys. But I'm wondering, I definitely saw, like, my best friend and I, we knew organized religion was bad. We did not want to stand to do the flag.
Ooh, wow.
Like, we were like little rebels. And I'm wondering what it took for you to be like, wait a minute. And you started to tell us that you went to school with all these other kids who were not raised the way you were. What went into your mind where you were like, maybe something's wrong here? And how long did that take?
Well, the problem is that I never liked it, even when I was little, and they'd be like, everybody but us is going to hell. I'm just a very sensitive person, where I was like, some people like that almost, where they're like, yes, we're the chosen ones. And I was like, I don't like that. I just met that nice woman at the grocery store, and like that really stresses me out. But all of my family members were much smarter than me. So like, I was dyslexic. I was having trouble reading, and everybody in my family was a doctor or a lawyer or whatever. And so I was like, surely they understand something I don't. So I'm just going to assume that I'm wrong. So I don't believe it. I don't like it from the beginning, but I'm probably wrong. So of course that just like got into a soup of like OCD, eating disorder, self-hatred, shame, like just the solid cool shit, you know?
Girl shit.
Girl shit. Yeah. Girl math. So that's kind of what was happening in the background of my brain. And then once I graduated college, I was pretty sick with an eating disorder, which is so common for women, but especially women in cults, because you can't drink, you can't smoke, you can't gamble, you can't cheat on your partner, you have a very strict life, so food becomes your kind of, ooh, I'll control you. Again, across the board, most women are like, yeah, same. But in this case, I was like very on death's door.
You're really good at it.
I was really good at it.
Good
A
eating disorder
plus.
girl.
I know. I'm like, I was really talented at it, you know? So my parents sent me to rehab after I graduated college. And it was in Malibu.
Okay.
I know, my parents were like, you're going to rehab. And I was like, no, I'm not. And then they're like, it's in Malibu. And I was like, okay.
Basically, you just really wanted to go to the beach.
I wanted to go to the beach. I wanted to go to the beach so bad. But thank God that they did that. And it was this really cool rehab. It's run by this woman named Carolyn Costin, who has a lot of books on eating disorders. But her kind of overarching philosophy is that to heal yourself from an eating disorder are all of these things that plague people, but women in particular, is to reconnect with your soul, essentially. And so we were like, I went from like blacking out every night in the middle of the Midwest, like throwing up all of my food, to like taking beach walks and drawing goddess cards and being like, which crystal do you want to choose? And like, let's do our food and feelings with women. And I was like, what the fuck? And like journaling, and it helped so much. And I started trusting people, these women, a lot. And they were like close with my family and loved my family because my family is so awesome. We're fourth generation. Like my parents didn't have a choice, you know what I mean? And they were like, your parents are so cool, but like these beliefs might not be.
Did they say you're in a cult?
They didn't, no,
How did you know? Yeah, how did you know it was cult? When did you realize I'm in a fucking cult? And by the way, so you're saying you've been in a cult your whole life, you believe in Jesus and the devil, and what ended up saving you was crystals.
Yes.
Okay, people, don't put down the power of crystals.
Goddess cards.
Can they be diamonds?
cards.
Can they be diamonds? And can the cards be
Yes.
$100 bills?
$100 bills.
Now I just want to say something to my husband on camera. Quit asking me how much money I spent on rocks. They're saving lives out there.
They're what got me out of a cult.
How much did you spend on this rock?
That's a really good point. Let us buy the rocks.
Yeah, the rocks are out saving lives. I mean, Jesus didn't save
real.
the rocks. Didn't you?
For real.
Power of crystals.
Okay,
So
can we start a crystal cult?
Sure. Done.
Okay, who's the head crystal? How big is he? No.
I think Spencer Pratt, didn't he spend all of his money on crystals?
Did
I think
he?
Yeah, he did.
Stop,
like
that's
a million years ago. He's fine now, but yeah.
Okay, so when did you say, this is a fucking cult and I'm out? Like, I'm done. This is crazy. Like, when?
Okay, so I always was like, this is definitely a cult. But I was also like, is it? Because like I said, there was this unconscious bias in me. So then a couple years ago, I started a podcast with this girl, Lola. It's called Trust Me. She also got out of a cult. And we started interviewing experts, cult survivors, whatever. And a Facebook group formed from survivors of the cult that I had grown up in. And we started all comparing experiences. And it's been completely secret for this last 100 and however many years. So to suddenly have people to talk to and bounce it off on, and to be getting experts and other cult survivors' opinions, my brain was like, but the moment it really came crashing down was when I was playing pickleball in Bev Hills.
Oh, God, your life is so sad.
And my phone rang, and I was like, oh, who's that? And it just said FBI, which that's what it says when the FBI calls
Stop.
you, FBI.
I'd be like, that's a scam.
Yeah, exactly.
Decline.
I was like, who is this? And I answered, and it was indeed the FBI, and they were like, you would have to know so much about how the 2x2s operate that whatever. But so many basic, I knew it was a cult, but I thought it was like a little homegrown, innocent thing that like taught people too much about hell. I didn't realize that it was the perfect setup for sexual abuse, financial abuse, emotional abuse, trauma. Yeah. So the ministers live with the families.
What?
Yeah. So
The ministers of the church live... What?
it's like if the Catholic Church were sending the priest home with you.
Oh my God.
To molest you.
To molest you, possibly. And some people, and
Well, they're not sending them home. They're sending their kids to them.
Yeah, sending
They're
them
like,
to them.
don't come to our house. We need a break. Let us
Yeah.
give them to you.
And we're all groomed in this
Yeah.
religion to go into it's called the work. The people who are penniless ministers staying at people's homes. So like a lot of the people who join are just as much victimized by the system as others. But then, you have people who are like, oh, this is a vision board of what a child sexual predator wants. Like Jeffrey Epstein didn't have this much access to children and new children and whatever children.
And then
But
to move on from town to town.
To town to town.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Wait, the FBI called you and said what?
I go, they go, well, what's the name of it? And I go, it doesn't have a name. Jesus.
They were like, hey, Megan, what's
they're
up,
like,
girl?
hey, babe, how you doing? I was like, hey, girl. No, it was a guy. And he was like, what's the name of it? And I was like, well, it doesn't have a name. We call it the 2x2s, but Jesus, didn't have a name for his disciples. And he goes, did you ever think that maybe it doesn't have a name because it's really hard for us to track? And I was like, sure. Like Truman Show, walls collapsing. And I was like, oh my gosh. And he was like, yeah, so this might be bigger than you think. And at the top, there might be some really bad characters. And we need some information from you. And I was like, I am in an ocean of cognitive dissonance.
Gosh.
Yeah.
That's insane.
It was
I can't
wild.
even imagine getting a call from the FBI.
Never expected it. That's for sure.
That's crazy.
And then did you finish playing pickleball?
No, I was like, hey, y'all, I'm going to go home. No big deal. Don't ask questions.
Did you call your parents right away?
I did. I've never had a conversation with my parents where I was like, you're in a cult, blah, blah, blah. But I called my parents just like scream crying and was like, this is really bad. And they were like, okay, I'm sure. I'm like, we'll get a handle on it. And then, they're still in it. I think their eyes have been opened a little bit, but like I said, being brainwashed is really hard, and they were. It's just a perfect breeding ground for predators to thrive. It's also a perfect breeding ground for the nicest people who've ever existed to be brainwashed. So it's a really nuanced issue that, the answer isn't just like hate everyone in the cult and block off contact with them, which I think speaks to a larger problem in society where the world is getting so
Cancel culture.
canceled. And like, my parents believe this, I'm not talking to them anymore. And it's like, no, the only way people are going to ever be able to change is to keep having open conversations with each other. So talk to people who don't agree with you. Be friends with people who don't agree with you on certain subjects, just so that they have information.
Yeah.
Don't cut them off. That's what we've kind of learned through doing the
It's
podcast.
sort of true because the world is so divided. You're either this or you're that. And if you're this, we don't want anything to do with you. And if
Right.
you're that, nope. And if you could just work together and say, hey, did you ever think about this? Look at this. Like,
Yes.
I do feel like that. I feel like you're right. Like, you should. But, like, let me just ask you this. Do you still have a direct line to the FBI?
Sure do.
Oh, my.
You guys got any questions for the
Can I get
FBI?
those digits?
Yeah. They just did a Hulu doc on this particular cult. My Cult. That's a funny name of a book. My Cult. It's called 2x2s Exposing Abuse. It's like a Dateline thing that they just did. If you look it up on Hulu. And one of the FBI agents is really cute in it. And not like, no, he's cute in it. He's just like, we are going to get to the bottom of this.
Wow.
And you're like, yes, we are, and I'll call you
I'm
tomorrow.
picturing a rom-com. I'm picturing that's the meet cute where he calls you and you're in your pickleball outfit.
Let's go get a coffee and talk about where the bottom of this is going to end.
No, they got to meet at dinner. They got to go share a bottle of wine. I was going
Totally.
to get the red. You were going to get the red. We should get a bottle.
Totally. Yeah.
All right, I have some
amazing.
questions for you.
Oh, great.
Since you were in a cult, how do you tell someone nicely that they are in a cult?
The only way to tell somebody nicely that they are in a cult or an abusive relationship, which I find are the same things, is to just ask innocent questions about it, to get them to start thinking about it on their own free will. Nothing attacking.
Like, why are you so dumb?
Why are you so stupid? Nothing attacky, nothing, to, I'm going to attack your beliefs in your relationship or whatever you might be in, but just like, oh, does it ever bother you that this is happening? And just kind of start getting their critical thinking back online.
Yeah.
It's a process and it might take a while.
Well, let's just go back to the David Koresh thing.
You love David Koresh.
I love David.
Why are you
I
so
watched-
obsessed?
I
Yeah.
watched like 2 episodes
She-
of when they came in to take this cult down.
That's awful.
The women were so, like, it was insane to see these women fight like they were army
Yeah.
people. Like, they were obsessed with him. So it's like, it's almost like they're in love with him more than their husbands.
Yeah.
So it's like you could ask the most innocent questions and you're never getting, this is like the ultimate,
Well,
like I feel like when you watch it.
for sure. But if you think about Fred Phelps and his crazy ass religion, where
Which one was his?
they're the ones that would hold the signs that's like trigger warning, but God hates fags out of people's funerals, and
Oh my God.
Just the most disgusting, horrific people alive. His daughter was one of the most hateful women ever. And we actually had her on the podcast because somebody on Twitter just started asking her questions. They weren't attacking her. They weren't being mean. Asking her questions, started getting her thinking. And she, it took a minute. And not everybody has the patience to do it, especially if you're gay. Like, you don't have to interact with that person. You can shield yourself from it. But if you have the wherewithal to start getting people's neurons backfiring,
to get them thinking.
To
but
get
do
them
they
thinking.
ever really get, like, that's what I'm
yeah,
saying.
she's
like,
out. She's completely
Really?
out. I think she married the guy. She did, I believe, marry the guy who started asking her the questions. And they're
Wow.
a very liberal couple now.
Stop.
Yeah.
Okay, but that's like, I feel like that's like a 1 in a million.
I mean, there's a lot of people leaving the thing that I grew up in that I never thought would. The internet is creating a lot of cults, but it's also deconstructing a lot of cults at the same time. So information,
You gotta find the right cult for you.
you gotta find the right cult for you.
I really do think, though, that these documentaries are, and then people are seeing them and starting to wake up and realize,
For
like,
sure.
something's wrong with this.
For sure. But be wary of like something online that's like, join our juice cleanse. Okay, it seems like a juice cleanse at first, but then suddenly it's like, your dad's a narcissist, your husband's a narcissist, blah, 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 blah. Like, cults can get at you just like the Scientology thing in a really innocuous backdoor way where you think you're going for acting or you think you're going for gut cleansing, and suddenly you're in a space with people and you start...
They're looking for vulnerable
They're looking for
people.
vulnerable people.
Good thing I don't like Jews.
It's a good thing you don't like Jews.
Truly.
All right, we have another question for you.
Sure.
Wait, I have a more important. Is marriage a cult?
Do you want to just skip? Ahead
Should we skip all of them?
This is Betsy not doing the homework the way we decided to do
it. Is marriage
That
a
is one of my
cult?
questions. That is one of the questions.
Is it?
Yes.
I mean, we are in a freaking cult. We're like, we are taking care of him.
It absolutely is a cult.
Think about
right?
it. It's a cult. You sign up for it forever.
It's not.
Listen, I'm not married, and it's on purpose.
Well, being in this cult makes you a better person. Megan, don't you agree, Hillary?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I am only tolerable because of my husband's rules for me, and that I'm only allowed to speak when spoken to, and I only find joy from pleasing him.
Perfect.
And you're only
Amen.
going to heaven if you cook a dinner every night.
Yes, and the devil will smite me if I don't make it right.
The fact of the matter is, though, y'all both have, strong personalities, and I'm sure your marriages are not cult-like. I have found myself in very narcissistic relationships just due to the nature of how I was raised, and not all of them have been. I've dated very normal, nice guys, but
Those did not do it for you.
those did not do it for me. I mean, and neither did the narcissistic ones, to be fair. But I guess just like anything, is going to church on Sunday a cult? No. Is marriage a cult? No.
Jokingly.
The key is to have more than one thing. So if you have a husband, that is your only thing. You don't have any friends. You don't have any activities. You don't have any thoughts of your own. That's a narcissistic relationship that should be explored.
That is kind of cult, though.
It is a cult.
Joking aside, we have been joking, but really, there are women that are controlled.
An abusive relationship is exactly the same as a cult.
Yeah, and then these men go out and sleep with multiple other women, and then these women stay at home because they're
heartbreaking.
Totally controlled.
It's heartbreaking.
So listen, if this is your marriage, you might want to see someone. Seriously.
And it also, it does remind me of people who are in relationships where that person's not treating them the way you would want your friend to be treated, and you have to tread very lightly on how you talk about the relationship and the questions you ask.
Totally.
Because people get very defensive.
Oh yeah, I mean, you went through this with me with the relationship once. I'm sure. I mean,
Many times.
yeah, many times where you're like, that's so interesting. Do you think that that's something that's sustainable?
So stay away from narcissists.
Yeah. There's a really good book if you are in a relationship that you're like, is this weird? It's called Why Does He Do That by Lundry something, and it's a free PDF that you can.
I'm just
get
going
on
to
your
buy
computer.
that and hand it to my friends.
Yeah, it's really
no
helpful.
words. I don't.
No words.
Here, just read this book.
Yeah.
All right, we have one more question for you. Betsy, do the honors.
No, you do this
Okay.
one.
Who is better at running a cult, men or women?
Equal.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I was like, that's obvious, Hillary.
No, equal.
I feel like men are better at it because more men feel like I could start a cult. I'm going to do it. I think I have what it takes to scam all these people.
Well, it's a blanket thing because women, number one, can do it just as well that way, but number two, they have different ways of expressing their cultishness. So, for example, Munchausen by proxy is a cult.
Okay.
What is that?
It's when a woman makes her child sick, like the Gypsy Rose. You know
yes,
what I
yes,
mean?
yes, yes, yes.
So we're just beginning to explore how women might be expressing their cultic behaviors a little bit more. But at the end of the day, Teal Swan, I can name a million, but
So women and men. I think, yeah, I agree. I think women can be quite
I'm not saying we don't have what it
charismatic.
takes.
I can be all of them and like wrapped in. My kid's always sick and everyone's like, what? Joining in. Women can't help it.
I think we're just beginning to scratch the surface of women and what they
Are
are
capable
of.
Are we
Yeah.
going to see more women cult leaders?
Yes. We already are.
What is Teal Swan doing wrong that she could do better to get more followers?
Nothing.
Does she need a trim?
She's doing everything right. And like sometimes I like her. Like sometimes
Me too.
I'll watch a Teal Swan video and I'm like, that was really helpful. But then she's like, I was sewn into a dead body and I can see the future and I can speak every language. And I'm like, okay, bitch, shut the fuck up.
Right.
You just need to not make anyone the main thing, including your husband. Just have a lot of different things.
Except for please make this podcast your main
Except
thing.
Except for tits of the house, which should be your everything.
Yeah.
You're all. We're not a cult, we're a podcast, but we would love for you to follow us.
We would like for you to listen to everything we say and take it as gospel.
Not a cult though.
Not a
Not
cult.
Just a podcast. We just really, 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 really want you to follow us, obsess over us, and think that we're the greatest leaders alive.
Well, I'm in. Count me in, ladies.
Great. We have one member. Please join. Join Meagan. Meagan, it's been amazing having you here.
Thank you. I've loved being here.
Meagan Elizabeth has a fantastic podcast called Trust Me. You can listen to it. You can watch it.
Nope. Hopefully soon.
Hopefully soon you can watch it, but you can watch her on this podcast on YouTube. We've been Tits of the House. Meagan, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so
Meagan,
much for having me.
You're amazing.
Thank you.
Oh man, you have been the tits, Meagan.
It's been the tits. Tits out.
Tits out.